Welcome back to County Connection. For our final segment, we are going to be talking about a great new project in Summit Cove to improve safety of pedestrians and bicyclists, the Summit Cove Loop Project. And with me are the lovely, the talented senior planners from the Summit County Planning Department, Kate Berg and Don Reimer. Welcome, Kate and Don.
Thank you, Julie.
So let's see, we talked about this project on County Connection about 5 or 6 months ago, I think. So refresh our memory about, give us kind of the big picture.
Sure. So the overall project is to add bicycle and pedestrian lanes around the main loop through the Summit Cove neighborhood. It's about a 2.4-mile loop. It's all of Cove Boulevard and Summit Drive, extending then out to the rec path along Highway 6. And so the overall project, the purpose of it is to improve safety within the neighborhood for bicyclists, pedestrians, and also vehicles, try to get slower vehicle speeds through there through some traffic calming measures by making the drive lanes narrower and then having a clear lane for bikers and pedestrians.
All right, fantastic. And so you guys have taken a look at this area and divided up into some sections with the idea that the project will be phased over a period of time. So can you talk a little bit about the thoughts behind that phasing?
Sure. Yeah, as of right now, the project has been broken out into 3 segments, and we are biting off phase 1 this year and going to build out phase 1 in 2015. Altogether, the project is in 3 pieces. One of the phases, which we haven't decided the order of it yet, is going to be the entrance of the neighborhood through along Cove Boulevard to the Royal Coachman intersection. Then the next section is going to be from Royal Coachman through the school zone. And then the piece that we're doing, the 3rd section, which we're actually doing as phase 1, is all of Summit Drive. Basically from the Soda Creek culverts right near the school to the intersection with Cove Boulevard.
Okay.
So that's going to be phase 1 this year.
Excellent. And then Don, can you talk about just some of the features that kind of tie that together as one segment and kind of what you guys were faced with design-wise for the project?
Certainly, yeah. And Summit Drive we actually selected as the first phase for the project because it is the most typical section. There's no significant construction that has to go on outside of what's already existing there. We're taking, right now there's about 32 feet generally between the top of the shoulders or the edges of the shoulders before it drops to the roadside ditches. So 32 feet with 24 feet of pavement in the middle. We're essentially adding 4 feet of pavement, 2 feet to either side, and keeping that same 32 feet, except we're going to have 2 10-foot drive lanes and 2 4-foot bike lanes on each side of that with 2-foot shoulders. So it's really going to be, once it's done, the neighborhood isn't going to be that significantly changed as far as a widening of the road or whatever else. The road will feel a little bit wider, but it's not going to be a large impact to the properties along Summit Drive.
Right. And then when you say the overall road may feel a little bit wider, but those drive lanes themselves will actually feel a little bit narrower.
They will be narrower. So right now we've got about 24 feet of asphalt with absolutely no striping. And so when we're done with this project, we're going to have the driveway striped in at 20 feet wide, 10-foot lanes in each direction, no center stripe. So the actual driving lane will be striped in at only 20 feet. So it's really shrinking by 4 feet, but then you're adding 4-foot lanes on both sides that are designated for bikers and pedestrians. But everything's staying within the road bench. It's really just our typical section. It's the simplest section to construct, although there are many driveway tie-ins along this section. With the exception of that, it really is just the typical section with no variations. And so we wanted to tackle this one first and hopefully learn, some good lessons from this section that we can then bring to the more complicated sections as we proceed in future years.
Great. And I would think that being able to take care of this Summit Drive section first also has a great immediate benefit because there are so many residences, and I would imagine there are lots of homes with kids in them who will really appreciate having that kind of a separation.
Absolutely.
For the bicycles and runners and walkers and everybody else out there, to kind of protect them a little bit from traffic.
Definitely, definitely. Also, this section it includes the side roads that have been identified as the most in need of repair.
Okay.
So as far as the scope of the project, we're going to be addressing Summit Drive from those limits that we described, from the intersection of Cove to the culverts right by the school. But then we're also going to be doing some side road repairs on 4 roads that intersect Summit Drive. So those are Idlewild Drive, Vail Circle, Meadow Drive, and Hideaway Court. And Idlewild Drive is, by and large, the road that's been identified as the most in need of significant repair. And so we wanted to definitely respond to residents' concerns about that and tackle this section first and get that road repaired this first year.
We had an open house in December, and it was really well attended, but that was one of the really significant comments we heard from a lot of the neighbors there is, this is great that you're going to be doing this on Summit Drive and Cove Boulevard, but Idlewild's in really bad shape. What are you going to do to this road as well? So we really wanted to tackle both of those at once.
Great. And it'll be nice to kind of knock all that out in one summer, rather than kind of dealing with construction in multiple years. And
Absolutely.
Great. So tell us, where are we now in the timeline of the project? What's going on right now?
Sure. So right now, we advertised the bid, put the project out to bid in mid-April, and we are expecting bids May 5th.
Okay, so pretty soon.
Yeah, so bids will be coming in May 5th. We are planning to have contractors selected by the middle of May. And then moving forward from there, once we've got a contractor on board, we can really nail down the details of the construction schedule. And then we plan to host an open house for the community. It's going to be held on Thursday, June 4th. It will be at the Summit Cove Elementary School in the cafeteria. And it's going to be in the evening, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We'll have the contractor in attendance, and we plan to really explain to the community exactly what's going to be involved in phase 1, what the plan is, what the work is going to entail, and then we will have the construction schedule nailed down, and we'll be able to communicate how the project's going to be phased through the different sections along Summit Drive, and what the plan is going to be for temporary closures and detours, and those kinds of things that we know the residents are going to be really interested in understanding, so they can plan accordingly.
Okay, great. And then if people have individual questions about their driveway or their mailbox or any of those kinds of things, they'll be able to have those conversations as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to host that open house June 4th, and then once we have communicated with the residents what's going to happen prior to starting construction, the construction start we're anticipating will be mid to late June. And then we're anticipating that construction is going to be about 3 months. So it'll run from about the middle of June to the middle to the end of September, with about 2 months of major construction and then about a month for site preparation and cleanup on either end of that.
All right, sounds good. And there are, I know, a lot of ways for people to stay updated on the project in general, as well as some of those finer details of construction and detours and things like that. How should people get plugged in?
So back in December, as Dawn said, we had an open house, and through that process, we've compiled a really substantial list of interested parties. Tons of residents are on our interested parties list. And so we're going to be sending out emails to all of our interested parties on a regular basis. We also have a project website up and running. We're going to be keeping a project blog updated. We're going to be blogging at least weekly and more frequently as needed to keep people updated on the construction schedule so that they can plan for closures and detours and whatever else. So there'll be interested parties emails going out. There'll be the blog updated on an ongoing basis. We're also going to have a variable message board sign displayed at the neighborhood entrance like we did to advertise the open house in December. And that will have regular construction updates. And then we will have a construction hotline, a phone number that people can call if they have any specific questions or concerns that they want to report to the county. We'll have somebody manning that to answer questions on an ongoing basis.
Fabulous. So all kinds of different ways to get the information that you need to.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add about the project or?
No, just again, certainly would like to make sure that everybody's aware of our open house on Thursday, June 4th, 5:30 p.m. at Summit Cove Elementary School, where we'll be spreading all this information and gathering more input, and just we're actually very optimistic this will be a really great project for the neighborhood, and
absolutely
a really good improvement for the road system there too.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of support and a lot of people excited.
Great.
So yeah.
All right. Yeah, great benefit for that neighborhood. Well, thanks so much for coming in, Kate and Don, and we'll look forward to talking to viewers as the project develops as we go along. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And thanks to those of you at home who have tuned in for the May episode of County Connection, and we will see you next month.